Hello again, everybody. I'm here tonight for the next in the Mayan astrology series. So that's number 8. Now, I've put 2 names in here as well as the Mayan name because many years ago, many moons ago, when I first started studying Mayan astrology, because I found it so darn accurate and good, it was called, the number 8 sign was called Rabbit. And I've seen it called it a few times recently, but the name that I've been seeing mostly called for the rabbit sign is Star. So because they're so different, both of them, I thought I'd mention both names so that you wouldn't get confused. Okay, so there's 2 names, 2 meanings for the name, and it's either rabbit or star. I kind of stick to rabbit because it's where I started, but I always acknowledge the other name. And of course, the Mayan name being Lama. Right. Okay, so I always do a bit of an intro, just in case you haven't seen any of my other Mayan calendar videos. So the Mayan Indians were a native peoples from Mesoamerica. So that's present day Mexico and Central America. They're very, very well known by many for their excellent knowledge of astronomy and mathematics mostly. They were known for many, many things, but very renowned for their knowledge of astronomy and mathematics and their cycles that they've created. Right. So when the Maya was at its height, they were wiped out, destroyed by religious fanatics and Europeans coming over and destroying they had their manuscripts they had their manuscripts destroyed. They had a lot of their written and their stone tablets destroyed. So a lot of their culture was actually lost. But we have managed, well, not me personally, but people around the world have managed to piece together the facts from indigenous sources, like speaking to people that are alive now, that have got amazing knowledge, of course, of their culture and the Mayan calendar and how it works. There are some surviving manuscripts and inscriptions that have been used by archaeoastronomers, ethnoastronomers, anthropologists, and I would imagine a lot more. So what's the difference then between Mayan and Western astrology is that the Western astrology focuses mainly on astronomical cycles and planetary alignments. But Mayan astrology interprets blocks of time in cycles, okay, more than the planets. The Mayan system is a series of groupings of days that go in cycles, okay. The most important being the 260-day Tzolk'in calendar. So it's all organised in intricate correlations between time, number, astronomy, all existing separately from our 365-day civil calendar that we use now to govern our everyday life. Now, the most important part of your Mayan astrology reading will be your day sign. Now, the year is split into periods of 20 days, okay, and these 20 days cycle round. So when when sunlight sign is done, it flicks right straight round to crocodile number 1. Oh, I've got an itchy nose. I shouldn't be getting hay fever yet. Excuse me. I've been getting this a lot lately, especially during my videos. Maybe it's the air quality. I should get air conditioning. Right, get back to what you're doing, Katie. So the year is divided into periods of 20 days and there are 20 Mayan signs, okay? Each of the 20 Mayan day signs has their own important information, what it reveals about that person. So if you were born on a certain day sign, that day sign can reveal important information about you, about your destiny, your personality, your abilities, your life mission, your strong and weak aspects, and it reminds you of your spiritual essence and your personal mission in this lifetime The Trikana is the 260-day astrological calendar that I mentioned earlier. And how that's structured is we have our 20 Mayan day signs. Now, each of those Mayan day signs has a period of 13 days attached to it. So crocodile will run for 13 days, and then wind will next run for 13 days. Okay, so each day sign has 13 days that is focused on that energy of that day sign. Okay, so the Trikana sign gives us integral information as well about who we are, but the day sign is 75% who we are, and the Trikana sign is 25% effective. So if you look at it in terms of a picture, your day sign will be the foreground and your Trikana will be the background, as well as your galactic tone and a few of your other little nuances of your sign, which I'm going to do more videos on at a later date. Okay, so the day sign is the most important. And when I say the day sign, I'm talking about the day sign, including the masculine, feminine, past and future, which I'm going to speak to you about in a minute. So the Trikana is 75. If we compare personality to a picture, I've mentioned that bit. So yeah, the day sign is the foreground and the Trikana is the background. And also part of that background is the galactic tone number that you get as part of your Mayan reading. It reveals the relationship between you and the divine plan. It's like an extra mission given to you, sort of added to your day sign. It's the energy you radiate to people, society, and the universe at large. These are, okay, so we'll do these bits first. So past, future, and masculine and feminine. Okay, so we have a day sign in the middle. I'm going to show you the sign in a minute of the day sign in the middle, past on one side, masculine on one side. What am I like? I'm losing it. Masculine on one side, feminine on the other, your past sign, which is your childhood sign, and your future sign. So your past and your future sign, this helps you with your spiritual evolution. So you're under the influence of your past sign for all of your childhood, right up to about the age of 12, 13 years, give or take a year or two, depending on who you are and how quickly you mature and change. You start feeling your future sign at around 40 years old. Your future or destiny sign is like a new mission that you sort of get later in life in your 40s. And it's like the route to your spiritual development, and you need to understand and realize it in order to be able to evolve spiritually. So I'm going to tell you about that in more detail in a moment. Your masculine and feminine side. Now you have your core day sign, but you have a side that you show to the world and a side that you show more to the people that you love and that you're close to. So your masculine side is the side that the world sees. So your boss will see, your colleagues will see, your friends will see, acquaintances will see. This is the energy you radiate into the world. Your feminine side, that's the sign that is, you don't really show that to the world. That's more seen by members of your family and people that love you, people that really know you at your core. And this is the side of you that you would show to people you love, but you wouldn't necessarily let your boss or people that don't know you very well see this side of you. Also part of your reading, it looks like I've switched my slides around there because it confused me earlier. This is the slide I expected first. So also part of the background of your reading, so remember, what am I like? You've got your day sign, 75% foreground, and then in the background you've got your Trikana sign, your galactic tone, and a few little seasonings of your Lord of the Night. So your a Lord of the Night, but I'm going to do separate videos on that, so I'm not going to go into the details of it. But it's a repeating sequence of 9 days. It symbolises your deep, unconscious, hidden motivations and also your dark side. Solar years is also part of your background because solar years are grouped into 54-year cycles. Each year in the cycle has its own special quality, reflected in your personality and character, but very much in the background. As well as the phase of Venus, which is divided into 4 main periods. And the phase in which a person is born offers insights into your social values and your role in society. So there's loads of little different nuances, but I'm not going to do that all in one video because it will blow your mind. So I'm sticking to the day sign and all its nuances, past, present, future, and all that, masculine, feminine. And let's move on. Yes, it looks like the rest of my slides are in the right order. I did worry then. Okay, so the rabbit, star, or Lamat sign is connected to the south of in the 4 directions, because you know all the 20 Mayan day signs are split into 4 groups that go in different directions and have different concepts attached to them, for want of a better word. So star or rabbit is in the south, or the yellow group as I call it, which is very about connection to people, feeling. It's very subjective and very emotional. Okay. Right, so the Mayan name is, I've never heard anyone pronounce this the same. I have no idea whether this is pronounced like this because everyone says it different, but I tend to say Kwanil or Lama or Lamat. Some people pronounce the T. So the meaning is star, moon, rabbit. So you can see why people, some call it star, some people call it rabbit, although I've never heard it called moon. Maybe you've heard it called moon. The element related to the rabbit is fire, very emotional. Direction south, as I've just said, and other people or other day signs in the yellow group are seed, star or rabbit, road, vulture or owl. Again, when I first started Mayan astrology, vulture was more owl, and I've seen light there sometimes depicted as sun, but I like to say sunlight because it gets both in. Excuse me. I'm really beginning to think the air quality in here needs some work. Right, so the abilities and leisure industries. That's not the first time I've said that either. I've said industries in other videos. So abilities and leisure interests. So the rabbit, very bouncy. That's what I like to think of the rabbit. Very bouncy and looks to the stars. It kind of brings both names into the equation. Gift of communication, very much the gift of the gab, really good speaker, so that makes them good in positions of authority because they're quite strong people as well, or as an advocate for other people or more vulnerable people, or in law. They don't take themselves all that seriously. To them, life is a game, but you don't like people interfering with your life really, unless they're giving you positive attention, admiration, or they want to have fun. You know, you like to keep things quite light-hearted and fun, and you love people's admiration. You love people to know what you're good at and think that you're great, really. Well, we all want that to a certain extent. But the thing is, sometimes that can tip into you feeling indispensable or slightly superior to other people. Excuse me for coughing, people. I might have to stop and get water if this continues. Very much about material wealth. So you'd be one for the designer names and the sports cars. But that's for the pride side of you wanting money, but you also like to spend your money on feeling comfortable. So you can be a bit maybe of a comfort eater, or you like doing a lot of things that make you feel that comfort. In the workplace, you'd be very good in managerial positions, or your leisure time, you'd be very good. Well, you're just a good manager. You're a good leader. Okay, you won't necessarily bring that into your career, as you'll see when we look at the other signs, but you are a very good leader. You have the potential of earning quite a lot of wealth, and you're quite attracted by finance careers. And we all know how there's quite high salaries linked to careers in finance, especially if you go overseas or you deal with overseas markets. As I've said, great leaders, so you're great community leaders as well. You'd be great leading football teams, kids, sports, community leading. You could probably do a little bit of community politics. Like I said, head up sports teams. You're very physically energetic. You like playing sports yourself. Mentally powerful and very productive. So you're very energetic. You don't like sitting down much. You love a bit of competition, that you bring that out in your sports, and you like puzzles and things like that. And you like challenges to figure out. So you'd like things like Panic Room and things like that. And there's several like games that you can go out in a group and do puzzles, and then you could get locked in and things like that. I've never done it, but I know my son has. Anyway, moving on. So you'd be a great practitioner. And what I mean by that, practitioner of alternative therapies, helping people emotionally, maybe, but more, not so much of the traditional ways of helping people. Maybe more of a practitioner, but you could do the traditional things too. I mean, they are good doctors, but also good leaders and administrators and organisers. You like caring for people and animals, so that you'd be a good farmer, and you also need to be really organised to be a good farmer. I know. I couldn't do it, but I know a friend of mine who has to be super organised to be a farmer, and it's not just about animal care by any stretch. Anyway, very practical, can solve difficult tasks, can sort problems out. They're not one to let failure, to allow failure, to be perfectly honest, which can cause a problem because, sometimes you're bound to fail, and they can fall pretty hard when they do, but in their opinion, failure is not an option. And when you're full of energy, it's like a type A character, if you know what I mean. They work hard to provide for themselves and their families. As you can imagine, they've got a lot of physical wealth, from the jobs they do, and from their get up and go from their get up and go attitude. And their abilities. They're quite multifaceted. They enjoy debating and getting their point across, reading, writing, talking, anything that stimulates their mind and is about communication. They're great parents, and they do, like I said, enjoy caring for people and animals. And they're normally successful at whatever they start, because they've got a lot of those characteristics of success. Personality, as you can imagine, playful, lively, carefree, energetic, physically and mentally, intelligent but independent and very smart, hardworking, doesn't like to give up, active, as I've said, you like your sports, hate being lazy, hate sitting down, hate doing nothing. You're not going to sit around and waiting for luck to happen, and you're not going to let the world just pass you by. You're an action person. You want to take action, and you're in constant movement. You persevere. You don't give up easily. You have diligence, and all these skills in your personality and your abilities does guarantee success and prosperity. And as you move on through your life, hopefully a bit of tranquility. You're a very responsible worker. You're not untrustworthy. You're patient, even though you're energetic and lively and carefree, and people might think you're a bit jittery. Actually, you're very patient, especially with people that are struggling. But you dislike being bored. You don't like sitting still. You don't like idleness. You want life to be fun. It's an adventure, And as far as you're concerned, why experience difficult emotions if you don't have to? Why suffer? In a relationship, you look for a bright, positive, emotional person that gives you unforgettable sensations in more ways than one, and that can be social time as well as intimate time and everything in between. Freedom, loving nature, so they tend not to get married too young because, they've got too much adventure and too much energy to expel, things to do, people to see, careers to build in order to get married. So a lot of them are a bit later getting married. When they're in love, they're a sensitive, caring partner. They love their children very much. Children's happiness is definitely prioritised, but they can be a bit overprotective, a bit smothering with their children at times. Under the guise of being protective, there's a thin line between being protective and being smothering. And sometimes they can tip over into being smothering. So, as well as what I've already mentioned, there's a few little nuance of the of this nature that isn't so good. Like with any Mayan sign, they're got a lot of nervous energy because they're always here, there, and everywhere. As I've already mentioned, they don't like being bored. They always like doing different things, seeing different people, adventure, fun, la. So they've got loads of nervous. That's why they do it, because of all the nervous energy they've got to expel. Which makes them quite nervous in themselves, sometimes quite insecure, questioning themselves. And even though they come across like they're sure of what they're capable of, that doesn't mean inside that they're sure of what they're capable of. Can be self-centered because you're a bit here, there, and everywhere. You're thinking about your own gratification a lot of the time. You just want to have fun, and you can leave some people by the wayside sometimes while you think of your own needs. Difficult to maintain self-control because you love that fun, freedom and adventure. You can be quite your sign is competitive, but you can be too competitive and very arrogant with it sometimes. As I've said, you can think you're better than others, and you have to be careful of that. And especially when you're bored, you can be a bit of a gossip. And if there's not enough fun going on, you'll cause it, even if it's causing a drama. So watch out for that, rabbits. Under stress, you'll look for that comfort. So you're likely to have issues or possible issues with substance abuse, self-destructive patterns. And when you feel stressed, it's much more good for you to set the substances aside, pick up a good book, or just go out for a walk in nature. Anything that stops you from dwelling or drinking or comfort eating or taking drugs. You know what I'm saying, what we all do when we're bored. Right, so your day sign is what I've been talking about. That's the center one there. So, but you have nuances of you, okay? So your masculine sign, that's your extroverted sign. That's the sign that your boss will see, that your friends will see. You have your feminine side that people that you love see. So really close friends, close family members, only those people will see this intimate side of you. From your birth right up to about the age 12, 13, you're led by your past sign. So you're a little bit different as a young person. Then you slip into your day sign at about 13. And then at the age of 40, your future destiny sign starts to come in. You start to feel an extra mission around about the age of 40. And that comes in, and that's part of your spiritual evolution. You need to understand all of these signs, especially your past and your future sign, and realize the characteristics of this sign in order to evolve spiritually. So this is the side that you show to the world. Okay, so when you're at work, this is what people see. When you're out with colleagues, this is what people see. If you're out with acquaintances or friends that are friends but are not overly all that close, you wouldn't trust them with too much. That's the side that they will see. So again, just like your day sign, you are going to show to the outside world that you are an inspiring communicator. You're amazing at sharing ideas. Verbal communication is your thing. You're an interesting conversationalist, public speaker, reader, writer, advocate, anything that involves language, really. So you'd be a good psychologist, counsellor, politician. The list goes on with communication. But you're also intuitive, very perceptive, and you have that ability to peep round the veil and develop your psychic abilities, because you have that there. Well, we all have a certain element of psychic abilities, but some people start from a more talented level than others, if you know what I mean, for want of a better word. Some people find it easier to access their intuition and perception. their healing abilities or their psychic abilities than others. And the rabbit sign has that ability. They are very smart, mentally agile, very multifaceted, as I said earlier, very multi-talented, jack of all trades. But they like to be admired. So this is really good for musicians and singers that like to be on the stage. Very fashion conscious, as I've said. Your day sign is very fashion conscious. You love aesthetics, you like things to look good, so you'd like a lovely shiny car, designer clothes. You're very much that way inclined, sensitive to aesthetics in the home and what you wear. You love art, you love beauty, but at this point, even though you are a good leader and you have leadership qualities, as I said earlier, you won't necessarily want to be a leader in your work or out in the external. You may use your leadership skills in other ways in your leisure time, but within your work environment, you're more about service than you are leadership. Excuse me. Very self-aware people, you rabbits, lots of personal power. You live by your own rules, so sometimes you can think you're a little above the law at times, or think, the rules are for them if they want to follow them, but that's not for me. And that can sometimes get the rabbit in trouble. Multiple interests, multiple careers. This can be a blessing and a curse for a rabbit, because you've got multiple skills and multiple interests, and half the time you don't know what direction to go in. You could probably do any career on the list, but you're not sure which one to focus on. So this is good to be like multi-talented, but it also causes a bit of a problem when you're trying to choose your vocation in life. Strong imagination, which would make you an excellent writer, being as you are good with words. So you have a strong imagination. You're a bit of a dreamer, so you'd be a good novelist. Good at planning, but you're very changeable, very adaptable. So one of them, changeable, sort of gives you negative connotations, does it? And adaptable kind of gives you good. And that's what it is. So you can be changeable and people can not really know what you're going to do next, which can be stressful for some people and for yourself. And then adaptable in a good way, where you can sort of, you're a bit of a chameleon. You can change to any environment and fit in and just, use your skills to do something different or whatever needs to be done at the time. You're active, you're full of life, you love to travel, idealistic, natural, romantic. You're very into solid romantic relationships, even though you might come across as a little bit flighty. You're not really one for sort of going about. You like a good, tight relationship. And in your working life, you like to get on with and trust people. You don't want to be working with colleagues you don't trust, and you want your relationships in the outside world also to be solid. Okay, so this is your introverted sign. This is the side that your family will see, your best friend will see, childhood friends that have known you forever and that you feel really close to will see. You get my drift? So people that don't know you all that well won't see this side of you. So at home, you're a little bit less energetic and out there and look at me. You're more sensitive and private. A bit more of an investigator. Maybe you like research and reading and thinking out strategies. Maybe you like playing strategy games, or you like working out your life plan and working out what your goals are and what you're going to do yet next. Quite quieter. So your family and your friends will see a much more quieter side of you. You're a good planner, as I've said. You can be aggressive and you can kick off, but you very much avoid confrontations because you know what you can be like. You can have some blazing arguments with members of your family or even close friends, but you try and avoid that because you know how aggressive that you can come across. But you will fight to make a point. You try not to get too aggressive about it, but if you believe in something, you are going to fight your corner. And I mean, it comes with that enjoyment of debating that your day sign has. You may be quite spiritual or religious in your spare time, and you may be involved in any kind of spirituality. Really, it doesn't have to be religion. It could be, you could be developing your psychic skills, or you could become a healer. You'd also be a very good consultant and doctor and counsellor of others. So you're good at helping people, listening to people, and I would imagine your close friends and family use that ability quite a lot. Right, when you were a child, so think back to birth up to about 13 years old. Very loving, very devoted young child, artistic, dreamy, romantic, bit starey out the windowy, loyal friends. So your friends would have loved you because you would have been loyal to them to the hilt. But you know how kids hurt each other. There would have been times in your childhood where the nastiness of kids would have got to you a little bit more than maybe some other day signs. You're very sensitive. So when someone says something nasty or does something nasty to you, you can get very hurt by that. And you probably remember that from your childhood. You have quite idealistic, unrealistic expectations of things, which can cause a lot of disappointment for you. Ideals on life and relationships, and the problem with having ideals, I mean, it's good in one way because it's like a benchmark to look towards, and we all need that. But if you use it as a benchmark for your happiness, that's when it becomes a problem. So have those ideals, but have them up there as a guideline, not as a benchmark for your happiness. Where am I? God, sorry, I've been put off by my daughter and her friends jumping around out there. It's fine. I'm going to continue. You're obsessed with future perfection, which goes along with the idealism. You look towards a future utopia, which isn't necessarily, isn't unlikely to be possible, really. Because, think about it. What you think of a perfect world wouldn't be somebody else's perfect world. Your utopia could be someone else's hell. And nothing stays the same anyway. Even if you got your utopia, it wouldn't stay the same. Everything changes. Everything is in flux. So it's good to have those ideals to look towards. But don't use them as a benchmark for your happiness, because you will have disappointment. You'll be disappointed in yourself, you'll be disappointed in the world, and you'll be disappointed in others all the time. And you don't need to put yourself through that. Okay. As a child, you would have loved art and drawing, artist. You would have loved English in school, maybe making and crafting, pottery, gluing, sticking. Decorative, you like aesthetics, you probably liked your room decorated really nice. Maybe you put paintings on the wall or posters. Intelligent, we know your day sign is intelligent. You will always be intelligent. Determined, hardworking, just like your day sign. You've always been that way from childhood. Needs to combine realism and idealism. As what I've just said, you need to realise that your ideals aren't always possible, to avoid disappointment and it's almost like hurting yourself because of your own expectations. Compromise for the perfection you're looking for. So to achieve perfection in your life, it's about compromise. So I like that. Compromise for perfection. I like that. I'm going to write that one down multiple times. Right, now, this is your future sign. So depending on how old you are now, you may be coming up towards your 40s, and you may be starting to feel your future mission creeping in, like extra feelings, extra things that you didn't feel before that are now creeping in as you start hitting your 40s or thereabouts. So this is your future destiny sign. So it's a new mission given to you at around the age of 40. You need to understand it, you need to accept it, and you need to use it and realize it for your own spiritual evolution in this lifetime. So as you're coming into your 40s, you'll be called upon to be the good advisor. a bit more serious, you know, because your day sign's quite fun-loving. Your childhood was maybe more fun-loving. But now as you're getting to your later years, you're needed to be a bit more serious and hardened to life. Experience is going to do that to you possibly anyway, but it's part of your evolution to become a little bit more hardened, maybe a little bit more realistic, which is part of your evolution. You're very deep, you're very competent, you're very wise, you've learned a lot in your life, and now you've added all that knowledge from your lifetime, and it's made you more discerning. Okay, it makes you quietened you down a bit. It's made you more realistic and more pragmatic. Not necessarily ultra realistic unless you're prone to swinging from one way to the other, but you will definitely be a lot more realistic and less romantic and idealistic than you were previously. Much more airy-fairy and philosophical about life, maybe less active and more of a thinker as you get, I hate to say get older, but get to your 40s. You might still be status conscious though, still seeking high positions, because remember your day sign didn't really want for leadership positions, but you may feel as you come into your 40s that you might start to look for that leadership position a lot more readily. Social, political status, maybe going into management in your career, or maybe going into business for yourself. Whereas before you may have kept management to your leisure time and to the people that you love and your family, you're now thinking about management in the external for your future. Hang on a minute, that's it, go away. I don't know if you can see that pop up that just came up on the screen, I hope not. Very high standards of yourself and others, but not idealistic. You're a bit more realistic than you were. Excellent sense of judgment, conscious of being judged yourself though, because, you know, if you judge others, you know that people are going to judge you at the end of the day. Critical of others, as I've said, you judge others, so you can be a bit critical of others, and downplays other people's feelings. So somebody could be a bit upset, and you might be a little bit, oh, goodness sake, it's only this, or it's only that, it's only our cat's died, come on, get a grip, you know. And you may not have a huge amount of patience for people like that. You're still a hard worker though. Your day sign is a hard worker, and you're still a hard worker even as you get into your 40s. Very sensitive nowadays, as I've said, to hierarchy and authority, whereas before not so much. You were more into service when you were younger and when you were like focusing on your day sign, much more fun-loving, much more carefree. Now you're getting a little bit more serious and sensitive to hierarchy, wanting to move up the channel a little bit and make a bit of a difference, if you know what I mean. They can sometimes feel a bit deprived. They definitely fear rejection, although a lot of us do. A victim of authority as well. As much as they are leaders, they can also be a bit of a victim of authority. So a lot of rabbit or star Mayan signs end up being as part of their life path, unfortunately. We have to experience the good and the bad. They might experience being a victim of abuse of power, like being taken advantage of, or being beaten, abused in some way, or maybe just being lied to by friends and taken advantage of, that kind of thing. But it is part of your life path and part of your learning and your evolution. So yeah, you've always been fun-loving, you've always been very intelligent, very energetic, very multifaceted. You like to have fun, you like to try different things, but as you come towards your 40s, you start to get a bit more serious and you start wanting to put your skills to the test and sort of ascend to manager and get a little bit more focused on your goal. Right. Okay, so let me try and change screens now so that I can then go to the end. So if you've liked my video, please like my video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already and you want to see a little bit more content. Click the bell icon because that will keep you informed of all the videos that I've got planned for you. You can email me at katie@soulexplorer.net if you have any questions or you want a reading, or you can go onto my website and have a look at what I've got on there, including my online shop, which has got all my ethical aloe vera health and wellbeing products. There's loads of great stuff on there, guys. Take a look. And I'm going to put in the description box links to my social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. And something I forgot to mention at the beginning, guys, I haven't worked out in all my years of doing Mayan astrology, I haven't put the time into it really, into working out a formula for knowing your Mayan day sign. So in the description box as well, I'm going to put a website or two, maybe one, depending on how good I think it is lately, into the description box. Or you can just put into Google, what's my Mayan sign? Pick one, try a couple, 2 or 3 if you're not sure if it's right, just to make sure it's all consistent. Find out what your Mayan day sign is, and then you can listen to all my videos. This is number 8. Number 9 is going to be coming shortly. So my next video is going to be a numerology video, which is Soul Urge 8, relationship compatibility. And then I'm going to do a couple of little snippets on the Enneagram because it's really inspired me a lot lately. I won't go into that now. I'll just say, trust the soul within you, guys. It's your intuition that always, always, always knows best.